all right. So I'll put a little music there. Let me quickly share this and then we'll get started. Latika. Share it to the group real quick. And then we'll get started. Okay. Okay. All right. Latika, we at it again. Happy Friday. Thank
Happy
you so much
Friday.
for coming on. As I said backstage, we pretty much I brought you on again because, well, first of all, you my sister friend. And I just be seeing the things that you're doing and just how you just killing it out there. And I wanted to bring you on really to kind of talk about your journey, because people see us on social media, they see we posting, we're doing this, so they don't really know the behind the scenes things that we're doing. They don't know. They see the end product, but they don't know, right? They don't know the blood, sweat, and tears and things that you are, the bricks that you're laying down, the foundation you're laying to be able to show up for your clients. So that's the reason why I wanted to bring you on. But before we get started, for those who are coming in, thank you so much. Go ahead and comment so we can shout you out. Those who are going to catch the replay, we will catch the replay that. We can't shout you out, but you can put hashtag replay and share this broadcast as well. Okay. So my name is Grace. I am the creator and founder of smilebiz LLC. It's a personal development company where I teach high performing women how to live a balanced lifestyle so they can be able to gain a life of peace, prestige, purpose, and prosperity. I'm also a transformational coach. By trade, I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So I do diagnose, and I also treat and manage mental health illnesses and also substance use. So that's kind of like my story, but this ain't all about me. This is about Latika. So I want Latika to just get a chance to introduce herself, and then we will go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Grace. Well, I'm Latika. I am the Boss Mom Coach. I help working moms in the federal government who feel like they are unqualified, feel like they are stuck where they are, but also at the same time feel overwhelmed in their life as a working mom. I help them to balance life and have a fulfilling career because I believe that we as working moms, as women, as wives, we have to make sure that we are happy first before
And
before anything and anybody else. And one of the things I
absolutely.
realized is that even in my own experience, if you are not happy with where you are in your career, nothing else will
Mm-mm.
matter. Nothing else will matter.
Absolutely.
So I help them to make sure that they can grow in their career and balance life at the same time.
Amen. And we need that. I went through my little stint last year with the burnout. So I completely
Yes,
understand what it's like, especially when you get to this level in life in your career. You bust your butt in school, whatever your work experiences, whatever it is, you get to that professional level, you're thinking like, okay, things should be a lot more smoother, but
right.
it honestly is. It's a lot more challenges because you have more
It is.
responsibilities, more people that you are overseeing, and then you have to oversee your motherhood. You know what I mean? I'm a single mom myself, so it can be very challenging. So I really appreciate you and being able to help mothers in general in their professional setting, also with motherhood. So I really think is well needed, and I appreciate you. So speaking of, right, you say you help the mothers in the federal government. So are you currently still working yourself?
I am. I
Okay.
am. I
Okay.
do.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about your journey, like before you even got into not just the entrepreneur side, but just in general, like what your day to day look like, and how you go about doing things. What's that like?
Oh my goodness. Every day is different. But I would say honestly, um, in order for me to do that, all that I have to do, I have to sit down and have that time with God. Fellowship, prayer, devotion, Bible study. I have to have that with God first and foremost. And so that is the foundation of my day. In order for me to, not only do I have the career and consulting business, but I also have a podcast. So I
Mm,
am, doing recordings, I'm editing, I'm producing that, get on other people's podcasts. So I'm doing a lot way before I even start my government position.
yeah.
And so, it's that, and then for kids and husband and just all the things in between
Yeah.
that I'm doing. So each day varies, but the one thing that I have learned is to create boundaries.
Mm. Man, that is my favorite word. In fact, I'm just got a new book called Boundaries. I forgot who's by, but I just
Mm,
got the book and I'm about to start reading that. Listen, that I teach my patients that all the time. Boundaries. It's a
yes.
big deal. It's important.
Yes, it is. And that's
Absolutely.
something that you brought out in your training. You didn't really mention boundaries in your book, the Be Well devotion, but it definitely made me realize that in order for me to get to where I needed to be, I had to set boundaries.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, boundaries is a big thing. It can
Yes.
really, and I'm learning to not just boundaries with other people, but I'm learning you need to set boundaries with
Yes.
yourself. I
Yes.
think sometimes we get into this superwoman syndrome.
Mhm.
I like to call it the superwoman syndrome. I didn't coin it. I don't want anybody to try to sue me. I ain't coined that, okay? But it's a superwoman syndrome, and we think we can do everything.
Yeah.
And so we have to learn how to set boundaries with ourselves. And that's first knowing what we're able to do, know ourselves, what we're able to do, and be able to learn how to use the word no. You know what I'm saying? So I think boundary setting, before we can set boundaries with other people, I think we have to learn how to set boundaries with ourselves. We have to really know ourselves and know what we're capable of doing and like draw that red line, like, no, I cannot go this way. And even when it comes to dealing with goals, you know what I mean? There's also boundaries related to that, because I think sometimes we have these goals just all the way out there. We don't really have anything set in place. We don't have we like, for example, someone who wants to lose weight, there's a boundary, right? There's a boundary of I can't eat after a certain time
Right.
period. There's certain foods I can't eat. That's a boundary.
Hmm.
That's a boundary. So we have to learn, we have to know ourselves and know what we're able to do in order to be set boundaries. If you can't set boundaries with yourself, you cannot set boundaries with anyone else. And I think that
Right.
boundaries is very key for balancing your life and everything else that you're doing. So my question to you, what made you want to go into entrepreneurship in the first place? Like, what did you just wake up this morning? I'm going to be entrepreneur. Like, what made you what made you want to do that in the first place? Because it
Um,
ain't easy.
it's not easy. It really isn't. You want to talk about some mindset, some loneliness, you
Ma'am.
all of it.
Yeah.
um, but you know what? I never, when I look back, I've always kind of dabbed into entrepreneurship. So I used to have my own wedding coordinating business years ago, and I also had my own web design business years ago. And I just was like, oh, it's just a side thing. I'm, not going anything further than, that. And the last wedding I did was actually 5 years ago.
Mm.
And I never like really took it anywhere further. But it wasn't until um I had my fourth child that I was like, I am not happy with where I am in my career.
Mm.
Everyone is putting me in this box because I am a mother of four.
Yeah.
And even though mothers are coming to work each and every single day, it is different when you are a Black woman who has four kids and you are in a certain position in an organization, whether a government or whatsoever. You're looked at a little different.
Yeah.
You are looked at as, I'm not going to put you in this leadership position. No, I'm not
Mhm.
going to put you in this managerial position because you have obligation. But wait a minute,
Yeah.
why are you putting your own fear on me? Why are
Right.
you putting your own thought on me?
Mhm.
And so I realized after dealing with depression, really just thinking to myself, and of course going to God, like, why am I in this box? I don't deserve to
Mhm.
be in this box. And God, I know that you have me doing my purpose is to do so much more. And what
Yeah.
he revealed to me was, yeah, I do have so much more for you to do, but what I want you to do is I need you to go tell other people, other working moms, that it's possible for them to do both, to be in their career and to be a mom at the same
Yeah.
time. I
Yeah.
need you to do that. And so even though I've had that entrepreneur spirit
Mhm.
years ago, it
Mhm.
wasn't until I was able to overcome postpartum depression that I realized,
Mhm.
okay, God, I'm going to do it. And I know that you're not going to put more on me than what I can handle. And I
Yeah.
know that if you want me to do this, you're going to make a way for
Yeah.
it to happen. And so
Right.
he's made a way for me to do this.
Yeah.
And even though I have the moments where I may feel lonely. I've called Grace, text Grace, like, Grace, I don't know. you know
Ma'am, listen. I'll be asking God too sometimes, like, God, did I hear you correctly? Like, did I hear from heaven correctly? Because I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And I can hear from God now, but I always will question, like, when those challenges start coming,
right,
like, so I completely understand what you're saying. And sometimes you have to be pushed into things. You know what I mean? You went through
yes,
postpartum depression, and I've seen patients who struggle with that. And you got through it. But sometimes, unfortunately, you have to be put into those things
right,
in order to be able to kind of find your purpose. As Marcia
right,
says, as he evolves us, it gets lonely. It does.
yes,
Sometimes the walk is
love that,
lonely, because what I've learned too is you can't take everybody with you. There's some people that are going to be left in the dust, and it's absolutely okay. It's nothing against them, doesn't make them a bad person, doesn't make you a bad person, but
hmm
everything goes through seasons. It's just like you're not going to go in the refrigerator and drink spoiled milk. You're going to throw
right,
it out. Everything has an expiration date. And I think the problem
hmm
with us is we start getting caught up in this feeling bad and like, oh, they might A1 from day one, blah, blah, blah. But they might not be, this may not be the season that they can go with you. You know what I'm saying? They may come back later on, but this is maybe a season that God wants you. As believers, we should always consecrate ourselves, period.
right,
But this may be the season that God truly needs you to press in even further. So
hmm
he's gonna put you in the isolation period. It's just like in the word of God, when people don't see, the people don't read the word for the context, right? If you go back and read how God was led into the wilderness, he was led into the wilderness by the Spirit. He wasn't led into the wilderness by the devil. He was led into the wilderness by the Spirit. Jesus needed to be isolated and go through those trials so he can be able to walk in his authority, figure out who he is, get his identity, and walk in his authority so he can be
yes,
able to do all those miracles after he got out of the wilderness, right? So it was the Spirit that led him to the wilderness. So sometimes God will isolate us because he needs us to press in to him, right? He
yes,
needs us to press into him so he can be able to talk to us and be able to, as she said, he removes so all we have. And I've been through that. You know what I mean? And I'm still going through that sometimes. So that's just what it is. He wants us to he will isolate us so it can be just him, us and him, so he can pour into us and then remove things out of us because we're so quick to want to get to next level all the time, but there's things that God wants to remove from us before we can move to next level, right? So I get
absolutely,
what you're saying. It can get very lonely and discouraging sometimes,
right,
but you have to just get back to the scripture that I like to lean on all the time is Galatians 6:9.
hmm
Um Also Proverbs, the book of wisdom. I like to just
hmm
pick the different scriptures in there and like, okay, Grace, God didn't just give you this vision for you to sit on. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you're going to go through challenges, but you heard him quite correctly. You don't need 5 confirmations to do what God asked you to do. You know it's true. People be waiting for, like, they be killing me. They be waiting for doves to fly across the burning bush moment, the
Yes.
doves to fly across. I'm like, you heard God the first time. You don't
Yeah.
need confirmation from a gazillion people to do what God's called you to do, because he just wants you to take that first step. That's it. Take that first step and walk in obedience. So I hear what you're saying. The journey can get lonely, and I get it, but he will always send you people.
Absolutely. And that's something that you brought up the wilderness, and I felt like I was in the wilderness. you
Mm,
know, and I've shared that with you,
yeah.
feeling like I am by myself, but you were absolutely right. God was trying to get to me by
Hmm.
removing certain people out of my way, out of my sphere of influence, and saying,
Hmm.
I'm trying to get to you. And I asked God, like, God, okay, if this is what you want me to do, send some women to me. And I lie to you not. I lie to you not. I lie to you not. Here, 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 here,
Hmm.
here. Do you need anything else? And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, God, okay, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. You know, and even like he would have people text me that I haven't even spoken to in the longest amount of time and say, hey, Latika, how are you doing? I'm like, God, okay, I hear you. I see you. I see what you're doing.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna be obedient. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a pruning process.
Yeah. That's what he said. He said the branches are not fruitful. He will remove them.
Yes.
He would prune the ones that, to bear more fruit.
Mm-hmm.
He's the vine, we're the branch. And I've learned that branches are not always other people.
Yes.
Sometimes there are things within us that's kind of like
Yes.
stopping us. Our mindset. I always preach about mindset, because we can get so caught up in our own way. For example, the other day, share a little story. Eden probably will mind if I share this. He knows I always talk about him. So the other day, yeah, I think it was yesterday, and this is out the mouth of a child. Okay, and children are so wise. And he was saying, he wanted to eat a bowl of soup or something, right? And he said, well, how do I get the thing? Because he don't really use the cans and stuff like that. So I was like, Eden, all you gotta do is just pop the top and just pour the soup in the thing. Like, that's all you gotta do. He said, you know what, Mom? I think I'm just getting in my own way. I'm just making this more complicated than it need to be. Bingo, wise young man. Well, I mean, I am his mama, but bingo. So if a child can identify that, he said, I'm making this more complicated than what it really is. I'm getting my own
Yeah.
way. That tells you what are we doing as adults? We literally
Right.
get in our own way all the time, in
Yeah.
our own way. You know what I'm saying? So it's a mindset thing. I think once we can get past the mindset, like, you know what? God chose me to do this.
Right.
Yes, my current reality does not look like the vision he gave me, but he gave it to me, and I just got to work
Right.
that vision. As we get out
Exactly.
of our own heads, then things can start. It really changes our perspective, because your situation may not necessarily change, but it changes how you see that situation. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you see it as an opportunity for you to grow. So it's
Right.
about our mindset. And I think that's really what kind of keeps us like stuck.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps
I
us
agree.
stuck. So with your journey of the entrepreneurial spirit, which I can identify with, I've always sold something. And as you can see, I have a gift for gab. I always sold something. If it wasn't candy bars, I was selling candy bars. I was selling, my friends used to get us sunglasses from New York. I used to sell that at the workplace, man. The whole box would be gone. There was nothing I couldn't sell. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere I worked was some kind of level of some type of sales or something like that. But of course I went to school and all that stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, selling is just a side thing for me. I can sell whatever, but it's not nothing really business wise I really want to do. If I sell something, I sell something. And so I like you, I've had other things I've done, like I've done Avon. I did little things here and there as a hobby just to make just extra income. I didn't ever really took anything seriously. So when I had rededicated my life back to God, and God told me start a blog for moms, women in general, and just start writing again. That's when I started blogging, do my blogs. And then 2019, when I was asking him for a vision, like, what do you want me to do? You want me to continue blogging? You want me to still continue ministering to women and moms? What do you want me to do? And with the podcasting came along, and then he was like, told me about the business. And I'm like, the business? Like, I don't want to start no business. I just finished graduated school. I just passed my boards. I'm about to start a job. What do I need to start a business for? You know what I'm saying? So I sat on it for a minute because I didn't believe that. I didn't think I was capable of doing that. That wasn't in my plans. So I don't want to didn't want to start a business. But God kind of pushed me into that to do the coaching, the speaking, and all that good stuff. So I can identify with what you're saying about that journey. And then I felt lonely because I'm like, I don't have no business friends. Like, I don't know anybody. Like, God, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to send me some coaches, some mentors, some business besties. You got to send me something so I can be able to kind of walk this out. So I feel you. So can you kind of like talk a little bit of the challenges that come with like entrepreneurship? You said sometimes it can get lonely. What other things have you kind of faced with entrepreneurship, even in trying to deal with that in with motherhood as well? Because people see on social media the pretty pictures and the flyers and the products and all this stuff, and they don't really know kind of like the behind the scenes and things. So kind of like walk us through a little bit of that.
Absolutely. So one of them, if you can't hear the kids in the background,
Listen, motherhood, we can't escape it.
so the kids in the background, but I think one of the things is like you mentioned, just having people in your corner, having that support, making sure that you are okay and you know what you're doing. I think that's the main thing. You know what you're doing. Um, Sometimes you're looking for the validation, because you see everybody else, doing things, and you're like, oh, I wish that I could be where she is, and you're looking for the validation somewhere to validate what you have, what you're doing, your capabilities. I'm gonna tell you that this journey and this year marks 3 years. It has been a time for me to draw closer to God,
Yeah.
just draw
Mm-hmm.
closer to God because, as much fun as it is to be in this journey of entrepreneurship, there's everything else, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that will try to prevent you
Mm-hmm.
to get to the next level, whatever level that is for you. And I've really had to rely on God. So I would say the blessing of it is that I've been able to draw closer to God, have that growing relationship with Him,
Mm-hmm.
and really depend on Him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I loved is just being around other people that saying, I pray to God before I get on calls.
Yeah.
I pray to God before I send a post.
Mm-hmm.
I pray to God before, they do X, Y, and Z. That right then and there was a blessing because I'm like, really? So you literally involve God in
Mm-hmm.
everything you do, not just your personal, but your professional, your business
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that has helped me, but it has been a lot, but it's been great. It's really, I think it's matured me. I've been able to let go of some of my emotions, because I'm a very emotional person, and I've had to understand that I can't be an emotional person,
Yeah.
because I'm quick to somebody say something, and I'm quick to cry, leave the room and cry, like, just very emotional. But it's taught me I can't be that way. I really need to rely on God for everything. Um, so
Right.
yeah, it's been an incredible journey, even with the ups and the downs, the hills and the valleys. It's been
Mhm.
really a great journey.
I think also to piggyback off what you said is we so quick to get to the destination, we don't enjoy the process, right? As Marcia said, we have to deny self, and that's the journey.
Yes.
And I, you know me, I am a prayer warrior. I'll give that to myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm big. I believe in intercession. I think as believers, we all are called to intercede. We should all be interceding on our for our own behalf, our families, our friends. We should be interceding in prayer. And I believe that prayer is a truly a weapon. I always say that prayer activates things in the spirit, and the word tells us that we must commit all our plans to God, right? We commit every single thing we do unto the Lord. It doesn't matter if it's personal or business. And for me, I think, as you said, just pressing into God, He gives you direction, but I also feel like He gives you discernment. One of my biggest prayers, I always ask God, even before any session, or whether it's in a telepractice, I always ask God to give me revelation, reveal to me what the patients aren't saying. I need to have that supernatural insight to see. Give me revelation, then give me understanding of that revelation, and then give me wisdom on what to do with it. And that's what I always pray, is my go-to prayer. And I truly believe that discernment is important, especially in entrepreneurship, because there's so many different opportunities out there. It's so many people that will, before you know, be knocking on your door left and right. I want to work with you, Latika. I want to do this and da 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 da. And you have to, Latika, I think you're off the mic. Are you okay? Okay. I think you have to be discerning. You have to know who to work with, who not to work with. I don't align myself with anybody. That's point blank. Period. I will not, because I don't feel like every opportunity is meant for me. And I feel like if I jump on every opportunity, that can derail me from the purpose that God has for my life, because there's specific assignments that I have. You know what I mean? It's not throwing shade on anybody or anything like that, but I don't believe that I need to take every client. I don't believe I need to jump on everybody's platform. I'm not I'm not desperate. It's not that serious to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because I feel like I would hate to align myself in a place that's gonna, like I said, derails me for the purpose He has for my life, or align myself in what God did not ordain. Because what God does
Hmm.
not ordain is not sustainable. Period. So I'm just very, very careful on what, being there, let myself know, okay, this may be a great opportunity, but how much time is that going to take away from the things that God called me to do?
Exactly.
Is this really something, because my name is on this? Is this someone I really want to be connected to?
Right.
And we live in this new age thing going on. I'm gonna just keep it 100. We live in this world now where people want to slap kingdom on stuff, and it's
Hmm.
not really kingdom.
Right.
They're manifesting things and doing all
Right.
this, using this verbiage. And as believers, we have to be discerning. Just because it
Yes.
looks like God does not mean it's God. Okay, so there's all this stuff out here. We just have to be careful who we're connecting ourselves to, because listen, one thing about the enemy, because of the fact that I always feel like the enemy brings things to us that look like God, but it's not God. He's not going to bring us things that's flat out carnal, because as believers, we kind of should know what's straight up wrong, right? But He's going to bring us things that look like God. You know what I'm saying? Because he emulates things. He's a imitator. He's a copycat. It's not the original, right? So He's gonna bring you things that look like God, but it's really not. So if you're not discerning, you're gonna attach yourself to something in business thinking that is our opportunity, when it's a trap. So we just have to be very careful, not get so caught up in, oh, I'm trying to be on this person's platform. Oh, I'm trying to get this proposal because it's X amount of dollars. And that completely shifts you from what God has called you to do. And I've had those opportunities thrown at me, and I'm like, and I always ask God, like, Lord, if this ain't you, block it. block it because I don't want anything that's not you. You know what I'm saying? And he does. And not that those opportunities may not circle back around, but they just might not have been the timing. And as entrepreneurs, we have to understand about timing. Yes, connections are great. Networking is great. Building partnerships, you need clients. We need our clients. So I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying not every dollar bill is good for you. You know what I'm saying? You just have to be very discerning on who you connect yourself with and which opportunities that you take. So that's important. I'm glad that you say that you press into God and you press into him, you ask him for direction, because that's the best way to do it. That's the
Exactly.
best way to do it. So I know you talked about, the hiccups and stuff that you've gone through, but what about the beauty of it? We talked about the challenges. So what is the one thing that you can take, positive thing that you can take from being a businesswoman, entrepreneur, and the things that you're doing? What one thing you can highlight on?
I will say connecting with other people. I
Mm-hmm.
have been so blessed to just connect with the most amazing people. And if I was not an entrepreneur, like I don't even know if I would be connected with you. You know?
That's yeah, because we met through the minority Christian
Yeah.
the entrepreneur group. Yeah, we did.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been able to connect with the most amazing people, and everyone that I have connected with has been a God connection. And what
Yeah.
I mean by that was something I learned. I think it was either Pastor Stephen Furtick or Joel Osteen or somebody, but they basically said that God allows favor connections.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are connected with someone who God is using as a vessel
Yeah.
of favor. So they're putting you in rooms that you would have never been able to be in. But
That's right.
now you have been able to put them in rooms that they would have never been able to be in. So it's
Amen.
a favor connection that you
Yeah.
guys have given each other. And I truly believe that if I wasn't an entrepreneur, I wouldn't know the amount of people that I know. I wouldn't be able to know that if I needed prayer, I could call Grace, you know. And there's another young lady who is friends with Grace and I can call on her. I was
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I need you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, but I would have never been able to do that if I wasn't an entrepreneur. I mean, just the amount of people I've met, not just here, where we live, but in the UK, in England, and
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
California, excuse me, like just the amount of people I've met has been amazing. And the people who are not afraid to say that God is the CEO of their business.
Amen.
So it's been an incredible journey.
That's amazing. Yes. The connections, the kingdom connections.
Yeah.
When I sit back and think about it, I'm like, wow, God, like I would have known none of these people,
No.
none of them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, it's not like they're in my neighborhood and around the
Right.
corner. You know what I'm saying? It's so amazing how God can connect with, as you said, UK, California. He
Yes.
can, we have the social media and stuff like now, so connections a little bit much easier a little bit
Right.
now. But it's so amazing. But you still have to have that rapport. You know what I'm saying? You still have to have, because you can meet anyone on social media, but you still have to have that essence. I don't know what the word to use, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
to connect you with those people. And that is so amazing. And I agree with you that connections are so important, and
Yes.
to be connected with like-minded people, that
Yes.
in itself is like, cool. Oh, I can pray with you. We can kick it
Yes.
and pray and talk the word. That's what I'm talking about. That's the fellowship I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes, I can go and
Yes.
preach,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and you understand where I'm coming from. So that favor that you were talking about, what came in my head was Ruth. And when
Mm.
you said favor, remind me of Ruth and her connection with Naomi. You know what I'm saying? Because she went back. She could have went back to her homeland and her family and stuff like that, but she decided to stick with Ruth, with Naomi, right? And I feel like people don't, they always talk about Boaz, 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 but people don't talk about Naomi.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a Naomi in your life because Naomi can elevate you a lot faster than you can do by yourself, right? But
Mm-hmm.
because she went back with Naomi and started tending to her field, like I like to say, tending to your purpose, you know what I mean? She was able to find favor. So when you said that, that's what came in my head when you said about the favor and being connected.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some doors that people can just get you in. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because you're connected with them and because you'll have that rapport, and God graces them, and that the
Exactly.
oil automatically overflows on you, right?
Exactly.
So that's amazing. Yeah, and I got to meet you and Sadisha, shout out. Marcia and I, we go way back. We go way back in nursing school. So we go way, 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 way back. um, so so yeah, you talked a little bit about your experience with working with me, and you can show off the book that you purchased from me. Yeah, you can show that. My first
Yes.
book, my
Yes.
very first book that I
Yes. I
wrote.
was so excited to receive this in the mail. And when people say, "Oh, I wrote a book," support me. I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll support you. Yeah, okay." But then I read it, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't read everybody's books. And so I
I
read
hear
it and
you.
I was just like, oh my goodness. And one of the things, I don't remember if it was day 11 or 10, but I will tell you, it wasn't until I read this book that I realized that I was in some toxic relationships.
Mhm.
And those relationships were preventing me or blocking me from my blessing.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because I was just like, wow, in order for me to be whole, as the book says, I have to let go of these toxic relationships. I have to set those boundaries. I have to take this mask off.
Mhm.
And in order to do that, some things are going to have to change. And so I was able to put those boundaries in place so that I can be whole. So I'm forever grateful for this book that you wrote, because I read it. I was downstairs in the basement reading it, and I was just like, oh my God, this person that I'm in a relationship with is very toxic.
Yeah.
And it's a trigger for me. Every time this person comes around, I'm like tense, and
Mhm.
I just don't want to be around this person. And it wasn't until reading this book that I realized I have to let this relationship go in order for me to be whole.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it blessed you. I didn't want to write that book. I'm gonna keep it 100. I did not want to write that book. I did not. I was like, I ain't ready to put all that stuff out there. No, no, no. And but it just kept urging me to write that book because I've gone through. Most people know me, know the relationship I went, the stuff I went through with my dad, and all the experiences I've had, dealing with relationships. And so for me, writing that book, although God had already started healing parts of me, but me writing that book in 2019, it helped me to get over that hump. Right. And I always feel like wholeness is a lifetime journey because we're never going to be 100% whole because we're not perfect. The only perfect thing is Jesus. The only perfect being is Jesus. So we always going to have, I always tell people like, um, God didn't save us because of our righteousness, because we don't have any righteousness. God's righteousness that actually saves us. The word tells us we are saved by grace through faith, right? We're not saved by ourselves. So you're gonna deal with trauma, disappointments, failures, all kinds of things in your life that can put you in that place where you feel stuck, that can put you in that place where you may feel depressed, may you feel anxious. whatever it is that you're going through, that emotional distress, you know what I mean? So it's important that we are able to understand, as you said, your triggers, able to understand your emotional triggers, recognize those things like, okay, I got this going on. This is what is going on with me. How do I help myself in this moment? And I really had to lean unto God for God to show me those ugly sides of me and the things that was going in my heart that was keeping me from truly being free and being delivered, and hold on to past things that I couldn't change, right? I couldn't change those things. I couldn't change my relationship with my dad because I can't change him. You know, all I can do is intercede on his behalf for him, right? So that book for me was really too freeing for me, because I was able to put some stuff out there, you know, to get myself out of the shame and guilt I felt for a long time for a lot of things that happened in my life. And I'm going through it again because I'm writing my second book. I'm writing my second book now. Y'all thought the stages of healing? Wait till Lord have mercy. He's been stretching me. And this book that he's actually got me writing now, this book he told me to write even before that devotional. And I'm be honest with you, I did not walk in obedience. I did not want to write. I didn't want to write the devotional, and I don't want to write this book. And he got me writing this book now, and I've been writing it and working on it. And as I'm recalling these different traumatic experiences I had as a child, the things I dealt with, you know, as a young adult, the poor decisions I made, all the just the experiences that I had, and all these things, memories start flowing back to me. And I'm like, Lord, you're stretching me. But I know that as I told my mom, me being vulnerable and just sharing a piece of my life with people will just help them be delivered. If I have to put myself out there so people can get deliverance, so be it, because that's what I'm purposed to do. He's purposed me to heal people and to build them up. That's what my purpose is. So no matter what assignment he puts in my life, that's the main purpose. So if I got to put myself out there for people to look at the dirty side of grace and the imperfect life of grace, the poor decisions grace made, and just to show that God is still a God, he's still a redeemer. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point in my life, you know, I'm getting a little stirred up away, but what we're saying, but I really think it's important that I share this. At one point in time in my life, I really didn't feel like God could save me. I felt like I was a screw up in life. I just made too many mistakes. And because, you know, as believers, sometimes we have the super saints that tells you like you got to do A, B, C, and D in order for God to love you. And that's to me, that's a Pharisee spirit, because God has called us to come as we're supposed to come to him broken. We're supposed to come to him vulnerable. You know what I mean? If we don't come to him like that, what do we need God for? You know what I mean? So for a long time, I ran away from God and didn't think that I was good enough. I wasn't worthy or anything like that. How can he save me? This wretched soul of mine, how can he save me? Of all the things I've done, how can God save me? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know, the sins I've done, the mistakes I've made, the people I've hurt, how can God save me? So that's what took me so long to come back to God, because I was ashamed. I was ashamed of things I've done, you know, the things I put people through, the poor choices I made. You know what I'm saying? So it really took God stripping everything from me. Because one thing I tell people, you can have the fanciest car. I had, when I got into it was my last year. Yeah, it was last year graduate school. And at that time I didn't have my new car yet. But I had the degrees, got a house, you know, I was getting the car and all this stuff I was doing, had all this worldly stuff. And I still felt empty inside. I didn't have my business then. You know, I thought my purpose was what I thought it was. I didn't was even really thinking about purpose like that. I was just thinking about just living life. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know what purpose was. I certainly didn't know what my identity was. I thought my identity was in the things that I acquired, the worldly stuff, the things that the world tells you, oh, if you get this, you're successful. You're successful according to the world standards, but you're not successful according to kingdom standards, right? So I still felt empty inside. Like How can you have all these things and you still feel empty? And that's why you see these celebrities, these people who are wealthy, and you see a lot of them are going through depression. Mental health does not discriminate. I got people that comes from all walks of life because of the challenges they've gone through, the trauma they've gone through, the experiences they've gone through. I've been there. I had dealt with depression as a teenager. I dealt with anxiety for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't feel worthy. I felt empty. You know, it really took me like, okay, God, you done stripped everything from my life. I was supposed to get married, didn't get married. You know what I'm saying? Everything I thought I knew was just turned upside down. What now? You know what I'm saying? So God had to strip all those things from me for him to get my attention, because he's been trying to get my attention all these years. But no, Grace wanted to do her own thing. I want to do my own thing. Ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing. Ain't nobody gonna tell me nothing. I've always been headstrong. That's just my personality. But headstrong in the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? So God had to remove those things from me. My life got turned upside down with like a switch of the light. In order for me to truly like, okay, Lord, you got my attention now. You got my attention now. I don't got anything else. I ain't got nobody else. What do you want me to do? And when I had that true, and I tell people, when you have a true encounter with God, it changes. You may not have a dramatic change, but it changes your whole outlook on life. When I had the encounter with God, it was like everything I thought I knew was like, didn't even matter anymore. All that mattered was God loves me. He's forgiven me. Grace, you got to start forgiving yourself. You got to start forgiving yourself. You got to start forgiving these people that you felt like betrayed you. Y'all want to talk about betrayal? I've been to a lot of betrayal. And that's what was so hard for me to even build friendships, even with females, and build friendships and stuff like that, because I've been betrayed so many times. And I've done things to hurt people. You know what I'm saying? So I tell people all the time, like, listen, that worldly stuff, there's nothing wrong with acquiring wealth. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. I'm not knocking that. I like having nice things. But we also have to understand that those things come and go. You can't take them with you. You know, you cannot take them with you. What profits a man to gain the world but still lose his soul? So you have to make sure that your relationship with God is not just lip service. Your relationship with God is not just a hashtag. He wants us to have an intimate relationship with him. There's just some things that you can avoid if you have a relationship with God, because he will give you discernment. He will let you know, nah, sis, don't go there. He will give you wisdom, right? He loves you, don't matter what you did. It doesn't matter. But you have to get into a place, humble yourself and repent, and not take his grace for granted. That's where it starts. And nothing can separate us from the love of God. I'm sorry to go here today, but I really feel like whoever's watching this and right now maybe feeling like I'm too gone, I'm too gone or depressed or whatever they're going through, understand that you have a loving father. Even if you don't have a father on earth, even if you don't have a mother on earth, I know what it's like not to have a dad that's present but not there for you. I've dealt with that for years. So even if you don't have a biological parents here, whatever, you still have a heavenly father who loves you. And he wants to see you great. He says he comes to give us a life, and a life more abundantly. That is what my business stands on. He wants to see you win. But first you have to commit your life to him. First you have to just like, God, take it. Just have it all until I surrender myself I'm sorry. I told myself.
I love Marcia's what she
Until
put
I
here.
committed myself to God.
Yes.
If I didn't commit myself to God and gave God everything, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even have forgave my dad. I would still be in bondage. So deliverance is, these are tears to show you like you can be delivered too.
Yes. Absolutely. Marcia says we have to lose ourselves to find ourselves in him. And in order for you to forgive your father,
Mm-hmm.
you had to give yourself up to God. You
I had
had to
to.
give yourself up to God because we have to remember forgiveness is not for the other person. You
It's
forgiving your
not.
father was not for your father because whatever your father has done was done.
Exactly.
It's been done. But when you were able to give yourself over to God,
Mm-hmm.
he freed you.
Mm-hmm.
He freed you from the emotions, from the pain, from the
Yeah.
hurt that you experienced with your father
Yeah.
in order for you to be where you are now.
Absolutely. And I tell people all the time, like, you are, we hear all the time, like, you're the blueprint, you're the pioneer.
Right.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So I couldn't think about, I had to forgive my father. I had to forgive certain other people that,
Right.
did things to me. I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive
Yes.
myself for the decisions I made in the past because it's
Mm-hmm.
not about me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have a whole bloodline coming behind me. I have my son. I have, God's willing, have more children. I have a whole generation that I need to shift. So I can't, it's not about me. So forgiveness, as you said, it trickles all over. And I know that God has called me to help people be delivered from bondage. So I have to speak my truth. I have to tell them, look at the things I've gone through. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You just give your life to him, and I'm telling you, he would just change everything. There's certain things you're not even gonna want to do anymore. There's
Yeah.
certain places you're not even going to, because it's not fruitful. It does not help your life. And you, like, servants, the servitude, you know what I'm saying? Like, you out there looking for problems to solve for the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I tell other people, time, like, you don't ever feel like you're just too gone. That's what
Mm.
the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to feel like you are too gone.
Yeah.
Hey, Julia. He wants you to feel like you're too gone. The enemy wants you to
Yeah.
feel like you're too gone and you need to be stuck. That's
Mm-hmm.
what he wants you to do. Because let me tell you something. What the enemy is scared of is what's inside of you. Because once you tap into what's inside of you, hell is shook. So that's why he'll confuse you with your identity. You won't know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going, you don't know who to take with you. Right? So he wants you to be stuck. So he's going to confuse you about your identity. He's going to confuse you about your purpose. We have so much authority in us. The same Holy Spirit that was manna was Jesus. He got manna come from the sky, part of the Red Sea. It's the same Holy Spirit that resides in us. So you have to tap into your authority. You have authority. Take back your authority. Take back your authority in your personal life. Take back your authority if you're business, if that's what you do. If you're in business, take it back authority in your career. You have authority. And it saddens me when I see believers, they're just okay living this just mediocre life. I'm okay just going to church on Sunday, and that I'm okay with that. God has called you to more. God has called you to more. No, it's not okay just going to church on Sunday. And I'm gonna say it. It's not okay. Living mediocrity is not okay. That's not what God has called us to do. He's called us to bring kingdom on earth. That's what even the word tells us. He's called us to do so much more in the world. He's called us to be world changers. He's called us to be impact the world.
Right.
We can win so many souls for him by just doing what he's called us to do.
Right. I mean, he gave us,
You know what I'm saying?
Matthew 28. We have work to do, and he told us we have to go out and make disciples. And with that, we can't just leave or live these, like you say, mediocre or just ordinary lives. That's not what he wants us to do.
That's not what he
And
wants us to do.
one of the things that I'm encouraged is that, God allows certain experiences to happen for the
Hmm.
other person, not for us,
That's right.
but for other people to see that God is real, for other people to
Hmm.
see that God is a miracle worker, for other
Yes.
people to see that God can change things. All you have to do is believe. All you have
Hmm.
to do. And I love when he says all you need is just a mustard seed of faith. And a
That's
mustard
it.
seed is like that.
You can't even see a mustard seed of faith. Okay. That thing is like, you know how that emoji that has a little mustard, like that little emoji? That's what you can't even see a mustard seed of faith. That's all he asked you to do. Like, come on
Yes.
now. That's
And
it.
and that mustard seed of faith will move mountains. That mustard seed of faith will move generational curses or whatever you want to call it. That mustard seed of faith is all he's asking is for you to take a leap of faith towards
That's it.
him. That's
That's
it.
it.
That's
That's it.
all
He
he's
will
asking.
guide everything else.
Yeah.
I am a living testimony. We all are. When I look back and like, dang, like you pulled me from that?
Yeah.
You pulled me from that pit.
Yep.
Come on
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely.
so no matter what challenges come in your life, whether it's in your career, your business, whatever it is, just trust God. And I know it's
Hmm.
not easy to do. I have my moments too, and I gotta call
Right.
my sister friends like, y'all, I'm going through right now. But I
Yes.
ain't gonna let the devil win. But I need somebody to encourage me right now because
Yes.
Grace about to like, I'm just about to like, I'm done. Like I've been at this for a
Hmm.
minute. You know what I'm saying? So we all go through those discouraging moments, but you have to remember like who you serve. And
Right.
who you serve is bigger than any problem that you I've seen
Anything.
God do things like that.
Hmm.
Turn my whole situation like around in like milliseconds.
Yes, absolutely. That is who he is.
That's who he is. He's not gonna, God ain't gonna just leave you hanging there. You know what I'm
No.
saying? Even if you don't see it, he is doing things in the background. He's not just gonna leave you hanging there. And I know it's difficult and uncomfortable because
Right.
but you have to get out of your, I like to say your comfort zone. You got to get up out of there. No
Hmm.
one has ever made history being comfortable. If you go look, it is Black History Month, right? Go look up no one has ever made history being comfortable.
True.
Period. Everybody who used in
Hmm.
the word had to get out their comfort zone.
Yep.
And that's what gets people stuck. They just want to be I'm just so comfortable. Change and comfort can never have a conversation. You would
Mm-mm.
never hear change and comfort in the same sentence.
Nope.
So you
Mm-mm.
have to get out your comfort zone. And the first thing is just take that first step because he's not going to give you the whole blueprint. Just take whatever he
Exactly.
asks you to do, just do it. If he asks you to sow into this, just do it. If he asks you to connect with this person, just do it. If he tells you just go pray for this person, just do it. If he says
Just do
whatever
it.
he tells you, write the book, write the book,
Just do it.
write the first line.
Yes. Just
You
do
gotta
it.
start from somewhere.
Hmm. You
Listen, I
do.
started blogging. I didn't expect to Smile Biz to be no coaching
Hmm.
nothing.
Yeah.
That was not in my
Right.
plans.
One thing that really helps me in those moments is I love Brian Courtney Wilson. He's a gospel singer, and he has this two songs, Great Work and Increase My Faith. And me being from the east side of Baltimore, I like a little thump thump in my music. So
Yeah, I used
and
to live in Baltimore. We know all about the Baltimore club scene from back in the day.
so
I know all about
I,
that.
I like to listen to a
This is
little.
before I was saved.
But those songs like Increase My Faith and Great Work, like they have that upbeat tempo to it. But I love the message behind the songs because, you know, they're worship songs, they're praise songs, but they're also inspirational songs to really help you in those moments when you feel like your faith is low, when you feel like you don't have enough to get just to across the street, and so I encourage whoever is in that position where they feel like their faith is low to listen to those two songs, A Great
Worship.
Work and Increase My Faith by Brian Courtney Wilson. And those songs will just motivate you, inspire you to go to God and say, okay, God, increase my faith.
That's
Repeat
right.
every lyric that is in the song
Hmm.
as your prayer to God to
That's
increase your
right.
faith and to, repeat back to him the promises that he says in the
Mhm.
word. And I
Yeah.
love what Brian Courtney Wilson does in those two songs because he's telling you scripture and all you have to do is
Right.
repeat it back to yourself and allow God to do the work that he has called for you to do.
That's right. Worship is God's love language.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, like I'll be in a mood and I just start listening to worship music. Like you
Yeah.
can't stay mad long in worship music. I mean, you
Right.
just can't stay. You can't stay
Mm-hmm.
mad long. You can't stay sad long. Just start playing worship music and just continue asking God to build your faith, as you said.
Yep.
Pray it through. Pray it
Mm-hmm.
through. Pray the words, the scriptures back, those promises,
Yep.
include them in your prayer, and what helps me too, a practical thing is just remembering. Just remember the places that remember the things that you thought that couldn't get better. And if you see the difference in yourself now, you see that he helped you then. He ain't gonna forsake you now. He ain't gonna forget about you now. So sometimes you have to remember those things and try, like, okay, well, I remember when I was going through this and now God came through. So what makes me think he's not gonna come through now? And I think that's what helps me just to be able to count it all joy and understand that whatever trials I'm going through, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like I will get through this. There is a fourth man in the fire. Okay. So to help me. So we kind of went off topics. I told you the Holy Spirit be doing that. Cause look, this was not on my card. Y'all know I am organized and I'm a planner and I do things to the T, and Holy Spirit, oh no, I'm just gonna hijack your life. We're gonna have you and Latika out here preaching, delivering people today. We're gonna help the people. We're not even talking about what we came to talk about. Jesus just took all this time.
You are hilarious.
I
But
said, I was not planning on putting all that out there. I was not.
my prayer this morning before I started work was, God, with everything that I have going on today, allow it to be a blessing for somebody.
Yes.
So it's God always has a plan. We have our notes. We
Yes.
have our plan. We
Yes.
can be organized to the T of what we're going to do to every millisecond. But
And
God,
he'll rip up our list.
yes, He will.
Pastor Jerry said, write your goal in pen and write your steps in pencil. And whatever COVID has
Mm,
taught us, like you, ma'am, I am queen planner. Okay.
yes.
But I've learned to be flexible because
Hmm.
sometimes plans change. You have to pivot and you have to be ready to do that. Because if you're a person that just like, and that's what drove me crazy with my anxiety when I used to have anxiety really bad, because I wasn't very flexible. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, this didn't happen for me. This happened. And then I'm like a whole emotional mess. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because something didn't happen the way that I wanted to happen. So God had to really teach me, like, Grace, get a hold of yourself, get in
right.
control of your emotions. You need to learn how to be flexible because life is not going to happen the way that you want to happen. Sometimes plans get messed up and you're going to have to learn how to pivot. And that's one thing we're going to have to learn in just not just in your personal life, but your professional life. Some things don't happen the way that you want it to happen. You know what I mean? No one expected COVID. You know what I mean? No one expected. I have so many things I went through last year, with my job and everything. You know what I mean? I didn't expect none of that stuff. But I really had to like, okay, God, is this where you want me to be? You want me to shift? What do you want me to do? I'm getting burnt out. So I had to learn. So that's what you have to learn in order to be able to thrive in your personal professional life. You're going to have to learn how to be flexible. You're going to have to learn, okay, well, plan A didn't work. Okay, what's the next step, Lord? What am I going to do next? You know what I mean? Should I sit in this? Do you want me to shift? What do you want me to do? So you can't be so stringent to the point where you causing yourself anxiety. Don't be like how I was, okay? Causing yourself anxiety, unnecessary stress because you don't know how to pivot. You're going to have to learn how to pivot, you know. So speaking of that, let's get to quickly, like, I know you got the book and just your experience working with me, some strategies, things that you got, and kind of like how has that helped you now and what your day-to-day and what you do now. Oh, your mic is off again.
Sorry. um, the trying to, make sure y'all don't
I
hear
know
what's
the
happening in the
girl,
background.
it's okay. We moms, we understand.
Um, so one of the things that I really appreciated during the training was, of course, setting boundaries, but being filled with clutter. Being filled with clutter, and one of the things that I realized was that every time I opened up Facebook, it was filled with clutterness.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I opened up a social media platform, it was filled with clutterness because I was in everybody's group. I was in everybody's, or I liked everybody's page, where I couldn't do that. And I think, when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you're just grabbing information. If it's free, you're like, oh yeah, sign me up. And I'm there. I'm at everybody's training. Downloading everybody's freebie. I'm in everybody's Facebook group. And I realized that I was in over 120 groups on Facebook.
Ma'am. Okay.
And it was just like, wait a minute, how did this happen? How did this happen? And it really made me, question, like, what am I doing? Why am I attracting all of this stuff? Why am I being attracted to all of this stuff? And so after taking your training, or during the training, when you were bringing up, sometimes, our minds are cluttered with what we're seeing. We have to make sure that we set boundaries. And I didn't even consider that social media needed to have a boundary. And that was one of the things that was causing me to not hear from God clearly, for me to hear everybody else's assessment on what I should be doing. And I really need to listen to God, because I can take a social media break. I can take a social media fast. That's fine. But when I go back, is okay, I still have the same thing. I needed to make those changes. So that's one of the main things that I realized, that I needed to make the changes. And then also, my office is in the basement, and I realized that there was a lot of clutter in my basement. A lot of clutter. And it's not like we're junky. It's just that I have 4 kids, and my husband, not my husband, but other people say that I hoard stuff. I don't hoard. I just keep, so I don't have to pay later. And so, like, I still have my oldest daughter. She'll be 16 this year. And I had stuff from when she was a baby, but I was
Ma'am,
passing
you
it
may need to
down.
come sit on my couch. We're gonna have to talk about this whole thing.
But I passed it down to my 4 kids.
Yeah,
I passed
yeah,
clothes down, and I, did all this stuff. And I started to let things go, just let
yeah.
things go, give it to people who, needed it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, after I did the training, my husband and I, we cleared out the basement, and then I still have bags of clothes because my youngest, she's 3 now. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
we don't need all this stuff.
right.
Well, we had some painters come and, paint half our house. And the husband was saying, yeah, my wife, she sends clothes back to, our country and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, hold up, wait a minute. And this was right after our training. I said, I have about 10 bags downstairs, black trash bags, full of clothes and toys and shoes and coats. Can you take them? And she was like, oh my goodness, yes, I would love to. So I brought them upstairs one by one, put them by the door, and they put them in their van. And I felt so free, but I felt like now
Peace.
I can go into the basement and I
Mhm.
have a clearer mind. I
Yeah.
can be, if I needed to have quiet time with God in the basement, I could do that because I'm
Mhm.
not worried about what's around me. I'm not distracted by what is around me or what I need to do. Oh, the basement needs to be clean, or my husband's area, it needs to be vacuumed. Like I'm
Mhm.
not worried about all of that
Yeah.
because the stuff is gone.
Right.
But I would say that was one of the things that I really, you know, it really, really helped me making sure that I got rid of that clutter, making sure that I was more organized, and making sure that I set the boundaries so
Yeah.
that I could hear from God, so that I can, have that clearer mind and not be so distracted like I was before.
Yeah. Marcia said boundaries are so important. We can make other things our God, and she's right.
Hmm.
In managing distractions. So I'm glad that the decluttering technique worked for you. I always tell people all the time, like, we gotta think of our minds kind of like let me put it in the 21st in 2021 smartphones, right?
Yeah,
If we think about it, our smartphones, we have to update our smartphones and stuff like that, right? If you don't update your smartphone, it'll be
right.
slower. Sometimes you got to remove apps and stuff like that. So you go through that. Your smartphone goes like almost every other couple months, it goes through the update. It's the same thing. The same thing when it comes to our minds. We live in a digital world where we have all this information. As you say, you are on what, 120 Facebook groups? Ma'am, I silenced. I went through my stuff. So I silenced. No, 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 no. That's a lot of Facebook groups. But no judgment. but I'm just saying. So we get on social media, and honestly, we all have a business that we do online, right? Our businesses, whether it's on social media, we do have an online community, whether it's email, whatever it is, YouTube, all this different stuff we do. Our communities are really within online community, right? Our online settings and stuff. So the things can get very overwhelming. And so I always believe in the same thing with the phones need to be emptied and updated. Our brains have to do the same thing. We should not have all this information in our brain, because what it does, it slows us down. Like you said, you lack clarity, you were distracted. You can't make decisions with ease if you have a whole bunch of junk in your head that does not need to be in your head. So you have to declutter. You have to download those things off, download those things out and pretty much update. So, and you did the example by getting yourself out of some of these groups, right? You cleaned up your living area, whatever, your basement, so you can have some peace, right? We flow better when we have peace. You don't flow when you have peace. When you have chaos around you, that's when you can't flow. You can't work in that type of environment. You think of people who in their workplace. If your workplace is toxic, how can you really work to your best ability? How can you perform well when you work in a toxic environment? It's the same thing with our minds. You know what I mean? So I always tell people, like, the decluttering technique I gave you, start decluttering some of these things. You took social media. I tell people all the time, start putting boundaries on the emails, access to these emails. Like, every time your phone ding does not mean you need to check your email. You know what I'm saying? You have to put some limits to that. You have to start prioritizing what's actually important to you, right? Marcia said, have to debug and make room for the new things God is trying to do in our life. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. Some things are just time wasters. It's amazing to me, and I'm not judging anybody because I'll binge my shows. I just watched WandaVision before I came on this live, so I'm not judging nobody. But it's amazing to me how many people I see on social media will binge watch a Netflix show, but the things that they're supposed to be doing, they don't do at all. But they can sit down and watch all of a Netflix show, okay, and then those important things you don't put it to the side, and you wonder why you ain't elevating to where you need to elevate to. You wonder why things aren't getting done, because you're making other things your priority when they should not be your priority. They should be not important things. So we have to also learn how to prioritize our priorities, because we get so caught up in stuff like, oh my God, I gotta get this done, oh my God, I gotta get that done. That thing don't need to get done, sis. That is not the most important thing. So you got to do that one thing that's going to get you closer to your goals. And that should be your priority. That's what you should be focusing on, not 10 million things that don't really mean anything at the end of the day. That's not going to get you anywhere. It's just wasting your time. That's what you're doing, wasting your time. And you're going to be in the same place next year, shoulda, coulda, woulda, yourself, because you chose to waste your time. So
Exactly.
those are the things that we have to start recognizing about ourselves. What habits, what personal habits am I doing now that is not helping me get where I need to get to?
Right.
Whatever that goal is.
Right.
You need to identify your personal habits. You need to be able to identify your limitations. What is distracting you? What is a time waster in your life? There's just some things that are just a time waster. Point blank period. We all do it. I do it sometimes, and I'm an expert in this. And I gotta remind myself, like, Grace, you were supposed to be doing. Why are you on YouTube? Why are you on YouTube? This is not what
Yes.
you're supposed to be doing in your office. You're on YouTube for what?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I too have to ground myself back. Okay, Grace, that is totally not what you came in this office to do. Focus on what you have to do so you can get up at this office. So you have to talk yourself through that, because we can easily get distracted. So I'm so glad that helped you. And you're showing up a lot differently, because you seem like you're able to flow now, right? Because you got that clarity. Now you have
Absolutely.
a direction of where you want to go, right?
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up, just let people kind of plug in what you got going on, any your services. Before I do that, let me find out if our listeners have any questions. Anyone have any questions for Latika or I? If you have any questions, go ahead and ask your questions now if you can. If you don't have any questions, if you have questions later, you can always send us email, DM. We'll tell you where to connect with us too. But anyone have any questions on anything that we said today? I don't think anyone has any questions. All right. Well, those who catch the replay later, if you have any questions, go ahead and you can always DM us or shoot us an email. All right, Tika. So tell people where they could connect with you and your services and stuff.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I help working moms in the federal government who feel stuck or unqualified and overwhelmed, but really want to have that fulfilling career. I help them do both, balance it all, and grow in their career. I also am a podcast host. I don't know if you guys can see my shirt of Boutique Vine Show.
Yes, Latika.
And so that's where I give tips and inspiration to help working moms, all working moms, on how to balance life. And so we talk about career, marriage, faith, and everything in between. And I am on season 4. And season 4 just started 2 weeks ago. So I'm so excited
Yay!
about it. Um, thank you,
Congratulations.
thank you. And
Wow.
yes, it's been amazing. This
That's
week
amazing.
alone, I recorded 5 episodes, with other people. So I'm just excited for what's about to happen, what people are about to listen to, how folks are going to
Yes.
get blessed. And I'm just experience how we can do both, because we feel like as working moms, thank you, Marcia, as working moms, we feel like we can't do anything. But
Mm-hmm.
my goal is to make sure that all of us realize that we can do it all. It
That's
is
right.
possible. It is possible. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do that. I'm so excited about it. And then next week I am hosting a event called Reclaim Your Career. And so
Mm.
for Black History Month, we're going to be focusing on Black women in the workforce. Uh,
Yes.
yes, so I'm
That's
excited about that.
exciting.
Yes, because, you know, I don't know about you, Grace, but I've had people come to me and say, "Is this your hair? Is this
Oh,
all
girl,
yours?
don't get me
Is
started.
is this yours? Or how are you able to work and you have 4 kids? How is
Oh
this
God.
possible? Are you pregnant again? You still pregnant?" Uh, you know, I actually had a chief of staff come to me and say, You gotta stop having sex so you can stop having kids.
Really? Well, that was bold, sir, ma'am. I'm gonna need you to have
And
several of
so
these.
I'm excited because this event, we get to talk about those things that we go
Yeah,
through. But
the
then what do you
stereotypes and
do?
stuff.
How do you grow your career despite the things that are around you?
Mhm.
The people who feel like they're going to put you in this box because of what you
Mhm.
are. And the ultimate thing is, it doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't
Sure
matter
don't.
what their fears are. What
Mhm.
matters is who you are, what you believe yourself to be, and where you believe you should go. So we're
That's
going to be
right.
talking about that, myself and three other career coaches, and I'm just excited about that.
Yes. I
Yes.
congratulations, sis. I'm so
Thank
proud of
you.
you.
Thank
Like
you.
a
I'm
proud
excited.
mother. I'm so
Well,
proud.
you
I love
are
my
older than
sisters
me,
when they be
aren't you?
killing it. What'd you
You are
say?
older than me, aren't you?
I'll be turning 38 in
Yes,
April.
you are older than
I
me.
am older than you. I just look young. That's all. Yes, everybody, I'll be turning 38. Yes, I'm 38. I don't mind getting older anymore, though. I love it. It's all good because I
It
look
is.
young, so it's all good.
It's
Well,
all
that's
good.
exciting. Yeah, I'm so excited for you. Where can people connect with you on social media?
Absolutely. So I live on LinkedIn. So connect with me at Latika S. Vines on LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook at Visionary Initiatives, Instagram, Visionary Initiatives, Twitter, YouTube. But I definitely hang out on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I post a lot of articles, career growth articles, career planning articles. And then you can listen to the podcast wherever you love listening to
And
podcasts.
her podcast is dope. Okay.
Thank
Just put that out there. Just put that out there. I'm not biased. It really is dope. I'm gonna be on link. I'm on LinkedIn now, but I have not utilized it like I should. But I'll be back on there. I'm going to be working on that. Soon. I'll be working on that. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much,
you.
Latika. So, as of for me, obviously you guys are my smile biz wherever I share this at. You can find me on Facebook, Grace Essie Enabu. Instagram, I have Miss Grace Enabu, my personal page, but consider my ministry page too. I post certain scriptures
Mm-hmm.
on there, encouraging things. Sometimes I speak on there. And of course my business stuff. And then of course you can follow me my other page on Instagram, Womanize Academy, which is more so for the academy. My business page, smilebiz LLC. Also, I do have also the Balanced Lifestyle show that I do once a
Yes.
month on my business page, where I bring different experts. As I said, I believe in the John 10:10. We are called, God comes to give us a life more abundantly. I believe that we should be transformed all areas of our life. So I bring different speakers from different areas in life to kind of help. This month, we're not going to have it this month, but I am going to come back next month with a special guest. So you guys look out for that. I'll be sending notifications and things for that for people on my email list as well. So you can follow me there. Also do have a actual program right now that I am doing. I put it on the screen. It's called Womanize Academy. I just launched my program that I'm taking applicants now. It is open enrollments. You just have to apply for it. Basically, it is a 12-month coaching program. It is includes an online curriculum plus bi-weekly coaching as well. With it is, I do believe in support and I do believe in accountability. And I think a lot of times people have a hard time getting to the next level because they don't have that support and accountability to kind of help them. So unlike a lot of other programs out there, they just sometimes they give you fluff. They don't give you, there's no receipts that come with it. And you only have a short time with that person. Transformation really happens at the 90 day, despite they say 21 day. No, transformation typically happen at 90 days. So you actually get to be with me for 12 months and you be with other women as well. And then working on, so we talked about stress management, work-life balance, mastery of leadership and master your plan for the online curriculum. And then you get the bi-weekly coaching with me. There's also a discussion board included in there, so you can ask questions within the courses as well. And then the Woman Arise Group Academy private community where you can ask questions. Sometimes I may pop up with a live in there. I may bring an expert guest in there. So it's all inclusive, so many different things. It is a premium program, so you do have to apply for it. If you meet criteria, then we will talk, and then we will set up a time. You'll set up a time to talk with me, and then we can discuss even further on how you can be actually enrolled in the program itself. I also have Woman Rise Tribe. Latika's part of the tribe. As well as a lot of the women on here that are part of the tribe. Tribe is really a sisterhood. I truly believe in sisterhood. Like I said, I don't think you can elevate in life doing things on your own. So Woman Rise Tribe is for all women. Really, it's all women. You don't really have to be a believer, but the goal of being in the group is I want you to learn to grow in the Lord. So even if you don't have a strong relationship with God, does not stop you from joining the tribe, okay? Because the goal is we want you to be with your community of sisters so you can start growing in the Lord. Right? We want you to build on your relationship with God. We also talk about leveling up in your professional in your personal life as well. So it's a community for women who want to get deeper in their relationship with God. So we talk about a lot of faith-driven things in there. And also connect with other women, be able to have accountability partners and different things like that. So it's amazing. You can look me up on Facebook, Woman Rise Tribe. And just send a thing, an invite. We'll invite you in, and join with us. There's a bunch of other women in there too. So you do have sisters that can kind of hold you, support you, hold you accountable in your becoming process. Okay. So I just want to thank you guys for joining. This live went a lot longer than I told my son it was only gonna be 30 minutes, but y'all already know how it gets when God is involved in something. We just go with it. We just free with it. So anyway, if those who came on, go ahead and share this broadcast. I'm pretty sure this will be a blessing to somebody else. So share this broadcast, and we will catch you guys soon. Okay, you guys take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.